Hi, it's Dia. Today I am reviewing SCHPIRERR FARBEN colored pencils. It is a 72 set. I just received them and I was very impressed with the packaging. They came in a box, and then inside the box was this lovely tin. Inside the tin is some information about Alfred Sisley. You can read a little bit of historic info right there at the top. And then, of course, there are 3 trays that contain the actually very nice pencils. I would say the diameter is about the same as Prismacolors. They come pre-sharpened, and there's a really nice variety. I'm going over this relatively quickly because I decided I'm going to do a picture rather than compare little circles of polychromos and Prismacolor to these. I just wanted to see how they actually worked when I drew something. So I chose a marble. I figured I would do something glass, something that had to have many layers of color. And I just wanted to see how they blended and layered and see how they work together and see how I would compare them after I'm actually done with a picture. So I'm going to use regular mixed media paper, a Mono Zero eraser. This is an antique drafting pencil, sharpened to a deadly point, and an IT makeup brush. And of course, the star of the show today, the marble. So I'm laying down the first layer in this picture. There will be many, many layers because it's a glass marble. And to give it that nice translucent look, I'm going to have to go over many layers many times between burnishing and glazing. So it's going to take a minute. So while I'm doing this first layer, I hope that you hit the subscribe button below, because in my next video, I'm going to be giving away one of my coloring books of your choice and a 72 set of these lovely SCHPIRERR FARBEN pencils. And there's a little bell button next to the subscribe now. If you want to be alerted when that video is out, just hit the bell also, so you can enter to win. At this point, I've done several layers, very light layers in the orange section. I just added a little bit of probably what I would call burnt sienna, and now I'm going into that interesting kind of Coke bottle green color that I was thrilled was in the box. It's kind of like an interesting mossy / minty combo. I would say that the quality of the pencils in all the colors feels the same. I've used some pencil kits where it wasn't equal through all the colors. Some felt better than others. When I was blending, when I was laying down the colors, the quality wasn't the same across the board. And obviously I haven't used every color on this picture yet, but Once again, so far so good. I'm adding a little bit of sky blue in the areas on the top and the bottom where there were really interesting reflections. I was sitting in front of a window when I was recording, and I had many lights around me, and the shadows underneath the marble that you'll see later when I finish, there's about 4 or 5 different directions where the shadows were being cast, and the area under the marble was also interesting because you could see like a miniature version of outside. Now I'm taking a white pencil here and I'm doing a little bit of feeling it out to see what it was like when it was gonna when it was going to blend. Hopefully, I had my fingers crossed. Now I'm taking black, or maybe this is actually the darker gray, and intensifying the shadows underneath the marble. I'm going back and forth here with a very light gray and that same interesting green. And I'm using a really light touch so it will be easily blended when I actually do get to that point, and so it appears translucent. So right now there's that green, a little bit of that green underneath, and once again just laying down layer after layer. So now I'm grabbing lighter colors and I'm going over the top of the orange, and I'll probably go over the top of everything at this point at least once, and do a slightly more intense blending right now. I was pushing a bit harder and not quite burnishing, but really getting those colors in there. Now I'm going over the green with the white, starting to blend things in. And this is where I would start to get nervous if it was if it was truly a wax pencil. But I went over this several times with several different layers, and I had no problem with buildup at all. So you can see I'm going over again with orange and the burnt sienna kind of color. And so far so good, once again. The marble had these little indentations on the side. It wasn't perfectly round. The marble's old, and I wanted to show those little indentations too. Whoop, I'm going over again with the white now. Trying to blend everything in. And once again, the colors are blending really nicely. And even after this, I'll be able to go in and add more color. I'm pushing pretty hard here with the black, and it holds a point really nicely. And a few of these I resharpened a tiny bit, and the points are really, really sharp and they're holding nicely. I just did a bit of glazing over the top of the blended layer. That's when you go over very lightly over an area that's already been blended in. And these are working really nice. More blending. Now I'm drawing the shadow under the marble. I'm using the lightest gray. And I'm using the side of the pencil. I'm not going to be perfect here just for the sake of the length of the video. But I wanted you to get an idea, and I wanted to give myself an idea of how these worked and how they work to layer when I'm only using one color. Now the light's coming from the other direction and another direction. I added a little bit of shadow with that antique drafting pencil because it's my favorite color. It's also antique lead. It's relatively hard, and I just love to go over shadows with that pencil. So I just use it for a second. Blending in those layers with white again. I'm erasing a little area here. Actually, there'll be two areas in the shadow where the light was leaving a little reflection, and then I'm going to use the white gel pen to add even more highlight on the marble also. I wanted to see how these pencils also worked if I was blending with the stump, so I figured the shadow would be a great place to try that. I'm just doing it really quick, and it's working really nicely. Here's the Signo white pen. It's my favorite pen for highlights. I've never found a surface, an art surface anyway, that it didn't very nicely cover. I love adding the highlights at the end. It always makes it look so much more glassy. Now I'm going to quickly compare the pigment of, in this case, red, to a red polychromos pencil. I tried to pick a very close color, and I try to push just as hard. You can see they're very similar in coverage. And here's green. Here's the green polychromos. And then I also did purple. I have to say, after coloring that picture and using them almost all day today. I really love the results. You can see how pretty it is. I would recommend this set to anyone. If you like this video, I hope you subscribe below, and I hope you click the bell too next to it, because I'm going to give away a set of these pencils with a giveaway of one of my coloring books next week. Thank you. Bye.